See, so today we are going to discuss about acquisition procedure in libraries. So far we discussed about the concepts of management and different theories and different principles of management, and we saw the book selection principles and the tools for book selection. So moving on with that, we are going to discuss about acquisition procedure. So what do you mean by acquisition? The process of selecting, acquiring, purchasing and accessioning. So acquisition department has three primary duties. They have to select which books to be purchased, and then after selecting they have to purchase it, and then they have to accession it. Okay. So this is the primary role of acquisition department. In every library there will be a separate section for this particular department. So let us see the procedure of acquisition in detail. So I told you that libraries are categorized into different departments, right? Acquisition is one department, and technical section is one department, circulation is one department, like that. So the primary role of acquisition is to build up information resources in conformity with the objectives of the institution. So in case of public library, the objective of public library to engage community reading, right? So their collection will be relevant to that. So we saw that in the book selection and the selection policies, right? So for university library, the collection should be ensured in such a way that it should support the curriculum needs and the research needs. Okay. So the collection principles varies. So acquisition department of libraries should assist in selecting materials which cater to the objective of the parent institution, that is the host institution. So as I told earlier, it involves three important processes: selection, procurement means nothing but purchasing, okay, and accessioning. Okay, these are the three important parts of what a role of the acquisition department. So what do you mean by selection? Complete a predefined selection policy. I told you about book selection, book selection policy principles and guidelines, right? You should have a complete, as a librarian you should have a good selection policy. Okay. So like you should understand every selection policy, should understand the types of user and their needs, and then based on that you have to define which selection tools will help in selection. We saw about various tools, right? So what kind of tools will help you in the selection, right? So these after defining the selection policies and the tools, you frame a list of books or list of resources you want to purchase. Okay, you want to purchase, so you make a list of that. Okay. So that after making a list, the second procedure is acquisition, the procurement. It requires procedure for necessary information sources. In that means who are the vendors are having this book, from where I can get this particular set of books. After selecting these are the books I required for my library, now I need to go for procurement. I need to purchase it, okay, acquire it. How do I do that? I need to find the list of booksellers, vendors. Okay. In cases where there is no outright procurement is planned, or possible procedures for access to resources, or sometimes in case there is no proper proper purchase policy or something like that, you can get books on loan, and you can take photocopies, that means xerox. You can take photocopies of books from other libraries based on book from other sections, pertinent sections, important sections. You cannot take the whole book photocopy, that will be a copyright violation. Important sections and you can take and bind it and keep it, and getting permission to use them in another information center have to be said, that is true, because photocopying is if you photocopy the entire book, it will be a copyright violation. Okay, so you have to get proper permission to use in your library. In case there is no proper purchasing procedure is allotted, and then you know what is accessioning, right? Specific procedure for taking all the books and documents to be added into the library. After you purchase the books, what you will do? You will not directly keep in the rack. You will accession. That means you will add a specific number to that particular book. That number is called accession number, right? In the order, that is the order in which the books have been received. That means I have purchased, so at present I have 1000 books in my library. I have purchased again another 1000 books. The first book will be the 1001, second book will be 1002. Like that you will number it. So that number is called accession number. The procedure for accessioning is called, the procedure for Procedure for doing this accession number and entering in the accession register and keeping in the shelf. This process, overall process, is called accessioning. So these are the three important steps, role of acquisition department. What are they? Selecting, acquiring, purchasing, and accessioning. Right. See, document selection. We will see all these three in detail. What do you mean by selection? Document selection is the first phase. There are two aspects, two aspects do you have to consider. You have to plan, and after planning, you have to implement the procedure. How? That is a step-by-step procedure, right? So planning relates to various preparation. We all know what is a planning, right? We have all studied that. Planning relates to various preparations and arrangements you have to make to carry out the procedure efficiently. Okay. So planning, you have to properly plan which books you need to purchase for your particular library based on what fund. Based on what fund? Based on the fund you have to plan. So that is where these book selection principles will come in handy. Okay, like McLaughlin or Melville Dewey or Ranganathan's or Dury's principle. You have to plan according to those principles, right? So there are four important aspects of planning: ascertaining demand, finding resources, funds, arranging personnel. Demand, ascertaining demands means you should see which books are having more demand from the users. So you have to plan to purchase those kinds of books, and you have to find particular resources. Okay, you have to find particular resources. Where can I get them? Okay, where can I get those books, like, and allocating funds. So you have to, for a university library, so they will allocate funds for every department. For example, if the budget is 10 lakhs, means for every department they will allocate funds, okay, depending upon the nature of the department, size of students and size of faculty and everything. Okay, based on that they will allocate funds. You have to allocate. You cannot purchase for one department the whole amount. You cannot use it for one department, right? You have to allocate, and you have to arrange personnel. That means after selecting the books, one has to come and what do you say, come and sort out, right? Or come and sort out. So whether, again, while you are arranging personnel, you have to careful for selecting, also for selecting books also, there should be no duplication, right? Already if you're purchasing books which are large in copies in your library, again if you're purchasing, means that is waste, right? So personnel should be arranged in such a way that they should ensure that the books selected are not duplicated, okay, and they are only relevant. Okay, so you have to plan accordingly, and again after receiving the books you have to make proper arrangement. Certain persons for what you call accessioning, certain persons for shelf rectification. Everything you have to arrange personally. You have to plan your work before in the selection of books, right? So you have to demand first. A certain demand means you have to see where the demand, which books are mostly demanded by the users. You have to plan and make a list, and you have to find resources, and then you have to allocate funds, and then you have to arrange personnel. So this is a detailed job analysis of planning stage. So sources. What are the sources for acquiring work? What are the sources for arranging work? Okay. So sources. You have to sources for acquiring work. Okay. That means purchasing, and then after this means purchasing is after selecting. After selecting comes purchasing, acquiring. So after selecting, what you do? Where will you go and purchase the books? You have to identify the particular sources. That means vendors. Okay. And after purchasing, what will you do? You need to arrange. You need to arrange for those. Arranging. You need to arranging. So you have to identify the personnel to arrange the books. Selection, document selection work. There should be a team to select the documents, right? Document selection, carding work, selection, consultation work, and everything. After preparing a list of documents, which is in university, you will get a list from the HODs or from the departments, and after getting the list from the HOD, you have to do the manual. You have to do the manual analysis whether if the HOD from that department has given the same list again and again or not. If that copy is available more than 15-20 copies, and if the users are using very minimum means, again you need not to purchase the same copies, right? So only the books which are in demand you have to give more importance, right? And then indents. Indents is nothing but an order or bill. After purchasing, you have to, after retrieving the books from the supplier, you have to pass the bill. You have to pass the indent. Okay, then only the amount will be paid. So before passing the indent, you have to check whether according to the bill, every book according to the order and the bill, every book has been received or not. If not, you should not pass the bill. Again, finance, allotment work and allotment watching work, depending upon the structure and the nature of the department, how much fund should be allotted, right? So this is the procedure. So now we discussed about the planning part, right? This is the planning part. It consists of 4 aspects. Now we are moving to the actual procedure, how to do it. Okay, so procedure consists of different components. One is scanning. Scanning, as I already told you, that old sources should be scanned only for specific needs. All the currently received sources should be scanned. Okay, item found disabled may be ticked off in sources. So you should have scanning in the sense that you should have existing knowledge about your collection. Then only you can select books which are required by your library. Okay, unless if you are not having any existing collection, existing knowledge about the collection, then it will be difficult. Okay, and then scrutiny is analyzing, okay, is checking. The purpose of scrutiny is to rule out the possibilities of unnecessary duplication. I have already told you that if the same book is purchased again and again, you will be duplicating the copy, okay, which is not needed. So you have to do a proper scanning and understand that. So this is the demand, ascertain the demand, and you have to do a scrutiny. That means you have to do a thorough checking to avoid duplications. So this is done by checking the marked items with the following. So how will you check? Items selected earlier by checking the book selected card tray, items ordered already by checking the books on order, items already received by checking the books received card tray. So you have to keep separate cards for each categories. Books selected, books on order. That means you have placed an order and books are yet to come. Again, you should not select those books, right? And books received, you have received a certain set of books, again you should not, again the same set should not be included. So you have to keep these in separate categories, okay, and you have to scrutinize this. The final list should not contain books on order and books received, okay. Only such items which are cleared after the above scrutiny are retained with tick marks. Others are sorted out. Now you have completed the provisional selection stage. So first you are doing a scanning. Okay, you are doing a scanning. Whatever you find it relevant, you want it, you are just making a tick. After making a tick mark, the marked item is sent to the librarian. What the librarian does is, they are scanning based on the books selected, books on order and books received. Okay, in order to avoid duplication, scrutiny, in order to avoid the same documents, instead of purchasing the same documents, in order to avoid duplication, you are doing a thorough scrutiny. In the interview process, you will hear the common word, your application is under scrutiny. That means they are reviewing your application, they are looking at your application in detail, nothing else. Okay, that means you have to scrutinize for all possibilities, right? Then after doing this, you have completed the provisional selection phase. That is a basic. And then recording. What do you mean by the recording? The purpose of recording to make complete data available on each of the selected documents. Okay, you have to get a complete data of each document, the title, author, publisher, all bibliographical data. The unit record can be standardized selection of card size 5 to 3 with appropriate columns printed. The following are the essential data to be covered by a selection card. So now we are doing it automated, manually I'm saying, okay. So subject name or class number, full name, everything. So everything, the price and everything. So these are some of the essential items which should be included in the recording details. Okay, fine. And now consulting. So consulting work can be prescribed intervals or and when needed for placing an urgent order. For this purpose, subjects are list typed out of the cards in book selected tray. Each list should be forwarded to the concerned subject except with the request that he should return the list after considering every item, making his specific recommendation to whether approved or rejected or deferred. Okay. So once the list is received back from the expert, you must carry forward the recommendation to the respective cards. Okay. So when you have certain doubts or clarification, it's better to consult the subject experts. So this is my final list. I have prepared a final list for a particular subject. So you send it to the subject expert. In our case, you are sending again the final list to the HOD. Okay, you are receiving the list from the HOD, and you are doing the scrutiny work because these books are already available, this is not available, and this is already I have placed an order, I am waiting for it. So you have removed and you have added certain books and you have removed, and finally again you are sending it to the again to the subject expert. Again they scrutinize it, and they will say, yeah, this can be selected, this can be rejected, and based on that you proceed forward. Okay. So intent passing, that is the last procedure. That is, I have already told you, that is the bill passing, right? That is the bill passing. There is a procedure of passing the bill after receiving the order, after doing all the accession work. You have to pass the bill. Okay. Only after the accession work you have to pass the bill. It is not like what you say in government agencies. It is not like paying the cash and purchasing. It is not like that. The work is not like that. You, in most of the shops, what you will do, you will pay the cash and you will get the product. In government agencies and libraries, it is not like that. First there is a proper protocol. First there should be a proper order. I'll tell about the process. Only after receiving the books and after you have entered the books in the accession register, only you have to pass the bill. Then only the payment will be made. That is the process. Okay, and then sanction. So book selection becomes final only formal sanction obtained by the librarian or other sanctioning authority. Okay, so you have who is the sanctioning authority in a college? The head of the institution. Okay, so the selection of the book will be final only after the head of the institution or the librarian approves it. Okay, based on the budget. So if the budget for that particular department is 12,000 means, if they give list for more than 15,000 means, you have to exclude certain books. Okay. So based on the budget, within the budget and everything only, they have to frame. So you have to sanction only this budget and this list of books. So now we are coming, after selection, we are coming to the procurement part, purchasing part. Again, two aspects are there, planning and procedure. So there are different, again, purchase acquiring should be done properly. You have to identify the appropriate vendor, that means appropriate bookseller. So there are different means of procurement. You can get books through gifts, donations, exchange, purchase, or through institutional memberships and deposit systems. Okay, we will see this. So through gift and donation, they are very important. They are very important because not every library have good financial resources to purchase all the books available, right? So certain books can be obtained through gift. That is a good idea actually, in order to enrich your collections. But there should be certain conditions, right? Certain conditions. Individuals they can share their personal collections, while some may not put their conditions while others do. For example, while some old student or some old researcher sharing his or her personal connections, so sometimes he might put certain conditions. You must be aware of those conditions and you must take appropriate steps to obtain a policy. For example, they may insist all the documents should be accepted so that they should be placed as a special collection. So that is not possible in a library. They will ask you to place their works in a separate collection in their name. That is not possible, right? Though they are giving the books as gift, that is not possible. Okay, because irrelevance of some documents to the subject interest of the institution. If the researcher is from biology, means if he is giving books books related to some biology and some other topics, means that is some topics may not be irrelevant and some topics may not be relevant to the institution, so they cannot add it in a separate collection. That is not possible. So difficulty in maintaining as a separate collection as merging with a select there is difficulty. If you want to create a separate collection as a separate reading, there is difficulty. It is better to merge in a normal collection where the subject of the book belongs to, right? And financial constraints, space consideration, cost maintenance and everything is there. So you should make a policy to clear to the donor, I will accept your books only if you follow the library condition and terms. Then I will accept. So we cannot keep a separate collection like you insisted. That is not possible. So you should be clear, okay, in defining a policy for obtaining books through gift. What do you mean by exchange? Exchange is not gift. There is a difference between exchange and book. So exchange can take place because if certain libraries they are having many duplicates. Okay, Many duplicates, they can exchange their books to other libraries. If you are having many copies in one subject, another library is having many copies in another subject, and if you are not having the book, means you can exchange through a common agreement. So that's why you can enrich your collection also. Next is through purchase. This is the proper procedure, purchase, because gifts and exchange can be accepted as and when required. When financial constraints are there, you can accept if the collection is good, and with certain policies and certain agreements only. You should not directly accept when someone gives. Okay, there should be certain policy defined, and you should add it in the accession register also. And instead of writing the price, you should write in the remarks. You should write gifted by or donated by. So in purchase means you are actually going out and going out to a shop, or the shop comes to the library, the vendor comes to the library, and you are discussing the price and everything, you are purchasing it. Simple. So there are different systems of purchase, right? Tender system, quotation, direct order, standing vendor, dealer library plan, standing order, books on approval, open purchases. You will see this. What do you mean by tender system? You also know what is a tender, right? In government institution, they follow only tender. That means you have to provide a list of books what you need. Okay, you have to identify first the selection. You have to identify the list of you have to select the list of books what you need, and then you have to upload it in the portal, tender portal, and then the booksellers will give their quotation for their price. Okay, give their quotation. So for the books you have uploaded, whoever gives the least price, the order will be placed accordingly. That is tender system. So minimum in certain government agencies, minimum there should be 3 quotations. Minimum 3 quotations. You cannot directly place with a single quotation. There should be minimum 3 quotations. So among the 3 you have to compare and say whoever offers the least price, low price, you have to place order. That is tender system. Quotation method is same only, but there is a difference between tender and quotation. So in tender method, what you do, you select the books, right? You select the books. But quotation system, it is not like that. Various vendors are requested to give the quotation for the books they are having. Okay, so based on that you will select. It will happen at the start of the academic year, in case of an institution library, academic library, right? So based on that you will select. Here it is not like that, and accordingly whoever offers the least price, you will select based on that. So tender system is you are selecting the books, and you are putting it in an open tender, and based on the list, whoever sees that the book vendor, they will provide the price for each book with their discount as well. And among the different vendors who is giving a low price, you will place an order. Quotation system means the book, the vendor who are having their own book, they will give their price. They will give their price for the book they are having. Okay, so this method is not successful because due to the monetary changes. Even case if there is, what do you say, if there is books written by foreign authors, according to the monetary value it changes. Actually, if the book is in USD or euros, one day the euro value will be 80. Okay, at the time of quotation it will be 80, at the time of purchase it will be 100. See the difference, right? So 1 euro is around 80 rupees. So 20 euros means, you see, it is around 2,600. See the inflation in price. So it will be difficult, right? So direct ordering with publisher is good idea actually. So for example, instead of what do you say? Instead of listing the books, there's a tender method is good because certain publishers will deal with certain subjects only. That is a possibility. Everything is as is disadvantages and advantages. For example, Emerald publisher. Emerald publisher means if you are purchasing books from Emerald directly from them, but they will have only what do you say? Only specific subject, specific collection, not the entire collection you need. You might need collection from arts, library science, education, psychology. But Emerald will have, for example, Emerald is having only library science, but they will offer you the cheaper price because they are the direct publishers. When you are publishing from a bookseller, they are called as aggregator because they purchase from these separate publishers and they will give you to the library. Because your work will be less when you publish from vendors. When you publish from publishers, you have to identify separate publisher accordingly. Who publishes science books, who publishes art books, who publishes education books. But when you go with publishers, the cost will be cheap. That is true. So directly you are publishing with publishers, getting order from publishers. Standing vendor are nothing but they are appointed in the library for the supply of books. They are the standing vendors. So you will be supplying for the books for the next 2 years. Okay, you have to take care of our library requirements, and if the quotation and the price or everything is low, we will continue. That means yearly contract. Based on the yearly contract and based on the performance of the vendor, you will continue. If you are not satisfied with the performance of the vendor, if you feel the price is high or something, the quality is low, means you will change the vendor. So that is standing vendor. Dealer library plan is nothing but the publisher and the library will have an agreement. Okay, when a new book is published in a particular subject or something, the publisher will directly send to the library first. Okay, the publisher will directly send to the library based on the agreement. Okay, when a new book is published by the publisher, sometimes the advantages before it is available in the market, you will get to know about the book. Disadvantages, some irrelevant book will also come. Okay, because your institution is dealing with different subjects, the publisher will be dealing with different area. There is a possibility of irrelevant subjects also, but advantages, before it is in the market, you will get a copy. If you like the copy, if your library wants that particular book, you can purchase it, or else you need not to purchase it. So when you have this dealer library plan, the agreement between library and publishers, it is a good advantage. Okay, you will get the book before in hand at the time of publishing, right? And the standing order is, for example, standing order, there is a difference between standing vendor and standing order. Certain books are series books, multi-volume books, installment books. That means it will have more than one volume. Volume 1, volume 2, like Harry Potter, part 1, part 2. There are different parts of books, right? They are not published simultaneously, but over a period of time. It will take some time to publish. Sometimes 1 year, 2 years it will take for the next part. Standing order is, the publisher will have an agreement with the library. When the next issue or next part is published, you will get a copy, right? You have placed a standing order. When as soon as the next issue is published in the next year or something, directly you will get a copy. Okay, you need not to go and search. That is an agreement for standing order. Approval means when you are going to fair or something, book fair or something, either either librarian will go there and attend a fair, or you can organize a fair in your university, and based on that you can approve. Sometimes publishers will send certain books directly to the library, and you can select it and approve it. Okay, the disadvantages is, most times publisher will send only the unsold books. Okay, that is a disadvantage. That is books on approval. Open purchases, as I said earlier, you can go to the fair. Book fairs or something like that. Okay, where you can make open purchase there itself. Okay, here books on approval is nothing but they will send the books, or you go the books and then you approve, and then the procedure is followed. Here it is not like that. You are going directly and you are purchasing it directly. You are going directly to the fair, or the fair, you are arranging a fair, and directly there itself you are purchasing. That is open fair. See, this Pragati Maidan in New Delhi is a good example where open purchases are made by library. That is a book fair. Okay, that is a book fair. All the librarians from Delhi, they will go and they will purchase directly. Institutional membership. So you can have a membership. You can have certain membership. Okay, in good institutions like British Library, American Library. If you are having membership in, if the institution has membership, you can make arrangements. Some books can be sent to our library, something like that. Okay, when you have membership, institution as a member, when collecting documents, it will be easier. And deposit systems. Deposit system. The deposit system, some libraries are designated to receive free copies. Okay, some libraries are designated to receive free copies. There is an act called Delivery of Books and Newspaper Act. So in India, there are 4 important depository library. I have told you, I think. Kanimara Public Library, Chennai, Asiatic Society Library, Mumbai, Delhi Public Library, Delhi, and Indian National Library, Calcutta, National Library of India, Calcutta. 4 are depository library. That means all the books, whatever author from India who writes a book, or all the newspaper published should send a free copy. Okay, free copy, 4 copies to these libraries. That is, and in certain occasions, some university libraries and central libraries are enjoying these benefits also. That means whoever publishes a book has to send a copy to this library. So regarding terms and conditions, the library must ensure that vendor is legally and morally bound to supply only the ordered document in perfect condition at the correct price. Okay, there should be proper terms and conditions in the order. You have to mention it. Okay, the book should not be damaged. The price should be perfect. You should not alter the price. Only whatever I have ordered, I should get it. Simple. So there should be proper terms and conditions because you are using institution's money, right? So there are different types of order: specific order, blanket order, standing order, prepaid order. So order means bulk ordering is for specific items. Okay, you have highlighted a list of selected a list of books and you are ordering for that book, that is specific. And blanket order means sometimes they may be placed to ensure no new item published in a specialized subject area is missed by the library. As I told earlier, when a new item is a new book is published in a, what do you say, in some specialized discipline, you place the order before itself. So when it is published, you will get the book like that. So that is a blanket order. So standing order I have already discussed, right? Standing order for a choices publication or something like that. Okay, in a multi-volume series, when the part 2 comes out, automatically you get a copy of it. Before itself you are placed. The order has been placed and it is standing. Simple. Harry Potter 1 has come out, for example, and Harry Potter 2 is coming in 2021 only. So you have placed a standing order for Harry Potter 2. Okay. And pre-paid government orders, publications, subscription books all come under pre-publication. So some government publications, they will update it every year. Okay, like Association AAU News, Association of Indian University News, some subscribed books. Okay, every year. So you are placing the order before itself, so it will come. That is pre. So there are 3 stages of ordering procedure: pre-ordering work, order placing work, supply receiving work. So what is pre-ordering? So that I have already told you, first you have to select the list of books, then you have to invite a tender for quotations, and then you have to tabulate the quotations. Whoever offer the least price, you have to do a comparative analysis, and then you have to place the order. Okay. So then you have to place the order. Order placing work consists of tallying, scrutiny, sorting, estimating, listing, transmitting, filing. So order placing. Then you have to tally the list of books selected. You have to scrutiny. I have told you about scrutiny and everything in order to avoid duplication, cost estimating, and everything. After doing all these things, you are placing the order, and after the order is placed, the vendor will supply the books. So the supply work, receiving work includes taking delivery, how the vendor is going to deliver the books, tallying, collecting, and checking. After the books has been received by you in the library, you have to collect it. You have to check it properly. You have ordered for 100 books, means 100 books should be there. You have to check it properly. Cards picking, transmitting for accessing, and after checking it, you have to transmit it for accessing procedure. And you know what is accessing, right? So that means the process of assigning serial number, that is called accession number, according to the order of the books. In case of books donated, a donation number is added to the accession number. That also you can add. If you want, you can add a donation number like DN, donation number 1, something like that. When issue sometimes loose issues of periodicals are also. Periodicals is nothing but whatever resources published with a certain period of intervals, like monthly, frequently. After the complete year, you can bind it and you can provide accession number. That is also not a problem. So accessioning is providing an accession number in a proper way, providing a serial number. So this is a job analysis of the accession department, accession section. They are ordering book. The accession section comes under the acquisition department only, right? They are selecting, they are procuring, and they are accessing. So they are ordering books, again they are accessing, and they are unsoliciting gifted books. Okay, and the procedure of accessioning. So these are the 4 important parts, role done by the jobs done by the accessioning work. And after collecting all the books, after you have done the accessioning work also, what you have to do, you have to pay the vendor, right? You have to pay. The vendor is waiting, right? You have to pass the bill by certifying that, checking, you have checked it, the books are correct and everything is in good condition. You are certifying. What is your certifying? It is in the bill. You have to write like this: it is certified that the published prices at the approved rate of converses have been charged and agreed rates of discounts have been allowed. And you have to write that, and after writing, hence the bill may be passed. And after you write passed, and you have to sign it, and head of the institution will sign it, and then you have to send it to the finance section, accounts department, and they will make the payment. See, this is the summary of acquisition department. See, so just it is not a simple what do you say, simple selection and simple purchase. Lots of procedure and lot of meticulous work are involved. So selecting a document for your library is very important, because whatever you select, it should be used by the user. That is the ultimate aim. So give due importance to selection principles and the collection development policies, types of user and their requirement. So this is all about acquisition section and acquisition practices in libraries. Kindly go through this particular source of reference which is used to prepare this presentation. So thank you.